Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's episode of Intuitive Angling. And man, I appreciate you guys coming by the channel and spending some of your day with me. Always very grateful, and big thank you for me and my family for doing that. Guys, today we're going to be talking about how the advent of GPS mapping technology, probably it's been, close to 30 years or so now, 25 or 30 years ago when it came on the scene, how it really has been harmful to the sport on a lot of different levels, and about how the sport would be better off without it. And I have been around since the whole beginning of it. I'm going to get into in today's video, and I'm going to talk about how I have seen the overall experience and the quality of bass fishing really go downhill ever since GPS mapping came along. So we're going to get into that in today's video, and really anxious to get your guys' feedback on that as well. Also, guys, thank you very much out there for everybody that's taken time to hit that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling. Free and easy way to support the channel, man. If you hit that subscribe button and the like button and share the videos, that really helps the algorithm out. And also, guys, if you want to go to the next level on Intuitive Angling, you can be a channel member, and channel members get private videos every week that the public do not get to see, plus access to my email address. You can email me your own personal fishing questions. So just go to my YouTube homepage. You can click on the join button or the membership button, get you all the information for that. So really appreciate that. Okay, guys, I have been there and done that, the whole GPS mapping thing. I was fishing professionally before there was even any GPS. There was no GPS at all. I think the first GPS that came out that I remember using was back in the mid to late 90s. Trying to think specifically. It had to be, I don't know, man. It's probably like 96, 97, something like that. And actually, Gary Klein and myself were the first two anglers I ever saw with a GPS unit. And back then, the only GPS units you had it looked like a little bitty flip phone. They were about that tall and about that wide, and a company named Magellan made them. And all it was is it showed you, it's like, say for example, you went out to the middle of the lake. You could hit a waypoint out there and find your way back to that waypoint, but there was no contours. There was no mapping. It didn't look like a lake map. It just looked like a blank screen with a dot on it. And what we used to do is we used to take some electrical tape, and we'd tape that GPS, that little handheld GPS unit, to our legs as we were running the boat. And you'd run down the lake, and you had your GPS taped to your leg, and you could at least find your way back to your fishing spot. But let's talk a little bit about how GPS mapping technology in its current form has really gone a long way to ruin the sport. Now, I've got a perfect example I want to run by this, what I'm talking about. A lot of you guys that have followed my channel, you know that I grew up fishing Grand Lake. My mom and dad had a trailer house down there for over 30 years, which was close to Joplin, Missouri. We'd go down every weekend from about the late 70s, up until the 2000s. And so I fished it constantly, thousands of days on the water. And there was a period of about probably 10 years when I was fishing Grand Lake that out of just like fishing the lake a ton and spending a lot of time on it, I was one of the first anglers out there to figure out how to catch bass offshore at Grand Lake before any GPS mapping whatsoever. Grand Lake was not known as an offshore lake. It was known as a shallow water, cranking rocks and throwing a spinnerbait down laydowns. Nobody fished off the bank at Grand Lake. And I figured out how to catch them out off the bank there by just finding spots out there with my flasher. And over a course of about 5 years, I won a ton of tournaments down there, fishing like deep diving crankbaits and football head jigs and Texas rigs and that type of stuff, fishing those offshore structures. That all came to an end when GPS became available to anglers, because most of these areas that I found on my own, I found them just by running down the lake and watching my depth finder, or I got like a Corps of Engineers paper map and triangulated some of these areas with a paper map. But nobody did that back then. That was just something people did not do. And what happened is I had about probably 50 places, hard structure places like drop-offs and ledges and places out off the bank that nobody knew about. As soon as the advent of GPS mapping technology came out, where they actually mapped in the contour lines, it was done. Everything that took me a decade to find the hard way, people found it in one weekend. All they had to do is get out there and look at their GPS mapping. They could tell where the breaks were, they could tell where the drop-offs were, and it just completely ruined offshore fishing. It absolutely ruined David Fritz's career. David Fritz, was the pioneer of deep water offshore cranking. He dominated everything back in the 90s. Won the Bassmaster Classic, won the Forest Wood Cup, won Angler of the Year. He was triangulating offshore structures with his flasher unit, and he had no competition. But as soon as GPS mapping came out, David Fritz just sort of fell off the map because everybody was able, it was a shortcut to success that took anglers like myself and David Fritz decades to find these places and learn. Now, just like with, spotlighting for bass with forward-facing sonar, it allowed people to take a shortcut to success that was not earned. It's like, that's one of the things that that's why I have developed a bad attitude towards technologies, because I've seen how so much work ethic went into finding places, without the advent of technology. And once technology came about, it just made it where everybody could find it without having hardly any skills at all. And as a result, anglers have been able to tap in and exploit offshore structures over the past 20 or 30 years like they never have before, and it has degraded the quality of fishing. Without a doubt in anybody's mind. It's like back in the day, before GPS came out, guys, I could go down to Grand Lake in June. This was before anyone knew how to fish offshore. And if I didn't catch a 20-pound bag, I considered it a suck day, which was a big bag at Grand Lake back then. I could catch a 20-pound bag almost every single time I went out in the month of June fishing offshore hard structure. And once GPS mapping came out, that was done. You couldn't hardly get a bite doing that. And now those fish don't use that hard structure places because they've been fished out so hard, and now bass are roaming out in the middle of the lake and suspending, and that's how they're catching them, by spotlighting for bass with it. So technological advancements, guys, are not always the best thing. I mean, technological advancements like in, like on our medicine and our health field and stuff like that, and environmental protections, that's great. But when you talk about interjecting technology into a sport like bass fishing that is on a fundamental level, it is an anti-tech sport. Fishing is supposed to be a purist activity. It's supposed to have this element of wonderment and magic and the unknown, and technology robs you from that. Let me equate to something like this. It's like with GPS mapping and with forward-facing sonar, it removes the unknown almost completely from fishing. How would you like if you had a piece of technology that on Christmas Eve, when everybody's sitting around, you got your presents under the Christmas tree, you'd have a little piece of technology that you could shine on your Christmas presents and find out what was inside your presents? That would ruin everything, because it took away that whole mystery and the magic of the unknown of what's in that present. And that is what was the PowerPoint of bass fishing prior to technology running it, is that you didn't know what was there. It's like when I pulled up to a drop-off that I found on my flasher by triangulation on my paper map, I had no idea what was out on that drop-off. There could be a 30-pound bag of fish out there, or there may not be nothing. And now with technology, people don't even fish those places unless they see a fish on it. They don't even stop and make a cast. And that is a degradation of the sport. That's an insult to the sport. It's an insult to the fish. It's an insult to the anglers that use that technology. So in my opinion, guys, the sport of bass fishing, it was ruined with the event of GPS mapping technology. Forward-facing sonar has ruined it even more. And our sport, there's an argument that can be made by this. Our sport would be better off today in 2025 without GPS mapping technology and without forward-facing sonar. There's not anything out there that, has been a benefit to it. Some people can say that, yeah, GPS mapping technology is helpful to navigation from a safety standpoint. You could do the same thing with the paper map. If you had a paper map and a flasher, you could stay right in the creek channels, you could stay right on those same contours, and you didn't need the GPS mapping. It just took a little bit more effort than what it does now. So anyway, guys, technology sucks. It's just crap that has invaded our daily lives like it has right now, and we'd be a lot better off without it. So hope you guys are well. We'll talk later.